Hello and a very warm welcome to the Adventure Show. This month we're in the Highlands for a gruelling 43-mile race, which starts with a climb of over 2,000 feet, following in the footsteps of Bonnie Prince Charlie over the Corrieyairack mountain pass.
Oh, we're getting there. I can see the top now.
I'm not very stylish, but you know, gets there in the end.
Over the camera.
Yay!
So the historic pass itself is a mere 17 miles of rough, rocky off-road running. After that, there's a transition onto the road bikes, where they start a 26-mile sprint into Cairngorms.
This race is billed as a challenge for all, and it's open to everyone, from those who just walk over the pass to the elite duathletes. But everyone, regardless of ability, also raises money for charity, and last year the total was a massive £75,000.
Ooh, it's a nice day, great day to be out in Scotland on the hills doing this race. Great event for a great cause as well. Nearly at the top, I take it.
From humble beginnings back in 1993, the Corrieyairack Challenge now attracts up to 500 competitors, with many coming back again and again and again.
Really great. I said line.
Also in this month's programme, we'll be finding out how one man can tackle Scotland's hardest rock climbs when he was born with part of one hand missing.
No way I want to be sitting years and years from now thinking, I wish I had done this, I wish I had done that. I'd never ever want to have that regret.
We'll be joining Cameron McNeish as he once again ventures up one of Scotland's finest mountains.
Just enjoy the fantastic view, now look at that.
And I'll be taking another culinary bashing from award-winning young chef Grant MacNicol.
Basically what I'm trying to do is get your knife skills up to the level where you could actually chop a potato at home, you know?
Okay. But first to the Corrieyairack Challenge. The route starts at Fort Augustus and then climbs relentlessly upwards for 2,000 feet to the summit of the Corrieyairack Pass, before an equally steep descent to Garva Bridge. That's 17 miles in total. Then there's a 26-mile bike, following the River Spey past Lagan, Newtonmore and Kingussie to Journey's End at Kincraig. It's a tough undertaking, but this year almost 500 people have signed up, from weekend racers to Scotland's elite.
I heard a lot of people sort of raving about it last year and saying it was a great event, really well organised and just really fun and a good challenge. So decided to just get a team together and give it a go.
We've got friends who've done the event before, about 4 or 5 years ago, in horrendous conditions. Apparently they said that grown men were crying over the finishing line. We thought that was maybe the thing for us this year.
I did a lot of marathons and stuff like that, so I was up with a lot of the elite guys with my times that I was doing with the marathons, but since I had a few injuries, old age I think is the key there, but I've been doing a lot of cycling, so see how it goes, you know.
Morning! Morning! Thank you!
I'd seen it, you know, advertised before, and I thought it would be quite good to do that, so I thought, well, I trained for the Highland Fling, and I do a bit of mountain biking as well, so might as well have a bash, see how I got on.
You're in a team called Girl Power.
Yes,
How powerful do you feel?
You've got me through your head about 1,000,000 times. I probably ran it about 1,000 times during the night, so it'd be quite good just get on with it, you know.
And as the competitors line up for the start, the waiting is almost over.
So here we are at the 17th Corrieyairack Challenge. 43 miles ahead of the competitors. There are some pretty serious hill runners and triathletes in the pack today. In the elite part, which is a 17-mile run and a 26-mile bike straight into Kincraig. We're waiting for the marshal's countdown, and I expect the mountain whippets will be off at a cracking pace. The countdown is on.
4, 3, 2, 1,
And they're off.
So this is it. The 2009 Corrieyairack Challenge is underway, and the top runners will soon be jockeying for position.
A bit of a sprint for the first couple of miles, to be honest, until people settle down to their natural running position and running pace. So you need to be near the front and kind of ready to go.
We'll see you at the summit, aye?
Shoulder to shoulder stuff at the start, yeah, and you're definitely sussing out who's on the start line, yeah, no doubt about that, yeah.
You always look around and you see the people that have the gear on, the triathlon gear on, and you think this looks a bit serious, and make sure they head off first and kind of follow them out of Fort Augustus.
I knew most of the guys that would be near the front, so just try and sit in there and kind of just tag along. With that amount of people as well, it's just hoping that nobody's going to trip you to start with or something like that. We did actually a race in Elgin not too long ago, and it was like a team race, and the guy that started our team off, he was tripped at the start, and I always remember that usually when I'm doing races, just watch the old feet, so he had the old blood trickling down the knees and stuff.
There are 3 categories in today's race. Some choose to walk over the pass, others opt for mountain bikes, but for the elite group, it's a hill race. Yet there's more to this challenge than just the physical effort. Back in 1993, Andrew Mackenzie created this race to support his ideal that everyone, including the disabled, should be able to enjoy our wild places.
It was obviously a sort of dire need for money from the local charity, and looking around at what kind of challenge outdoor events we thought were going to be a winner for this area. The Corrieyairack is got all the ingredients you need for a cracking event.
How important is the charity aspect to this?
It's incredibly important. The charity couldn't even operate without the money that we raised from this event. Basically wanting equal opportunity access for folks with disabilities to enjoy the outdoors. Speyside Trust actually runs an outdoor centre, Badagouish Outdoor Centre at Cairngorms. And again, I suppose that was part of our thinking with this event. We want people in the outdoors to actually see the link that all the hard graft they're putting in with sponsors and donations is actually helping disabled folk get the same experience.
Already the leading racers are halfway up the hill, and currently sitting in first place is Matt Williamson. But he's not far ahead. Terry Christie and Casey Morgan are just seconds behind him, while Alistair Thomas in 4th place is having a hard time.
About halfway through the run, actually, I felt particularly awful. I really didn't feel strong at all. About probably 5 miles into the run, about halfway up the hill. That was that point that Terry passed me on the run, actually. And then you just have to mentally dig in, really, and decide that you either give up at that point and join the mass runners, or you dig in and stay with the front runners. So it's just a matter of head down and keep going. And psychologically, you start to pass the walkers as well, actually, and you catch up with the mountain bikers and the walkers on the hill. So psychologically, you feel like you're making progress. So that then kind of picks you up as well.
Leading the field for the women is one of Scotland's top racers, Iona Robertson, but she's being pressed hard by both Kerry Weatherhog and Katrina Finn.
All the way up that track, I've just been aware of just not pushing it too much, just running at a pace that I was comfortable with, but still keeping the momentum going. And keeping your thoughts positive as well. I kept telling myself that I'd trained really well for it, and just trying to keep all the negative thoughts out my head.
For me, this is definitely not a sprint. I mean, 18 mile run followed by, was it a 26 mile bike? I'd say that's still a very decent day out, and I probably, to be fair, haven't run in the hills for more than about 10 miles for quite a long time.
Meanwhile, Matt Williamson is approaching the highest point of the pass and is still out in front and looking good. Behind him, Terry Christie's pushed ahead of Casey Morgan, and he's now in 2nd place.
Just keeping yourself at a good steady pace, that's what I like to do, that you're going to be able to maintain over that distance and getting a little rhythm. I've got a little thing that I actually count. I've got a number that I count to try and get my foot strikes and just keep myself rolling at that pace. I've never done the Corrieyairack before, so it's quite fearsome going up all those hills to start with till you got to the top.
With an event like this, competitors come from many different disciplines. Terry Christie normally competes in road races, while Robert Brooks' main strength is on the bike. But today, he's right up with the leaders, currently in 5th position.
There's the final big climb that you see in front of you as you go up the pass, and you can see the other runners and you can see the people that were leading the run out in front. So that's always good. You can then work out, how many's in front and whether you've got the energy to catch them or not.
Well done. Keep going. How are you feeling?
Great. Running in the hills is something I've only really gotten into over the last, I suppose, 5 years. And what I've found to be the most enjoyable part of it is the fact that you can travel quite a distance within the same times that you would have gone walking.
How are you feeling?
Oh, great. I'm feeling fabulous. Never had more fun in my life.
But with the running, you have that adrenaline when you finish a big long run, and when you take that to a race environment, you've got even more adrenaline, so you've covered bigger distances over rougher ground in worse conditions, but there's people there to share it with.
Read the pain. I don't feel too bad. Just keep going.
We'll leave the competitors now as they struggle down the Corrieyairack Pass. Next stop for them, a 26-mile bike trip. But we are staying in the hills, joining Cameron McNeish on his monthly adventure show expedition.
I'm in Glenetive this morning on a typical autumn morning. And when I say typical, I mean you just don't know what the weather's going to throw at you. It could be sunshine, it could be rain, might even snow. But whatever, I'm heading up a fantastic mountain by the name of Ben Stara, which undoubtedly is one of the finest viewpoints in Scotland.
Glenetive is such a fabled land, and chief amongst the legends here is the story of Deirdre of the Sorrows. Now, Deirdre was a 1st century Pictish princess, and she was betrothed to the High King of Ulster, a man called Cameron McNeish. But Deirdre fell in love with a young warrior by the name of Nisha, and he and his 3 brothers were known as the Sons of Wishna, and they were the hereditary bodyguards of the High King. Now, Cameron McNeish's temper was infamous, so Nisha and Deirdre fled from Ulster and they set up their home here in Glenetive. By all accounts, they had a beautiful time here, and then something happened. A scorpion came into the camp, and that changed everything. I'll tell you about that once we get higher up the hill. We're right down in the depths of Glenetive, kind of at the back of Glencoe. And you know, I don't think there's a better time of year to be in the mountains than just now, late autumn. It's a wonderful time. The colours, when the yellows and browns take on this beautiful golden hue, the grasses become gold, the hills have a sort of tawny, ochreous look to them. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it makes photography a delight. And normally at this time of the year, you can usually get a few days of blue sunshine like this. It's a marvellous time of the year. I'm wandering along here lost in nostalgia, because just right across there, falling like a curtain from the top of Ben Trillichan, are the Etos slabs. And you know, I spent many happy days there doing routes like Hammer and Spartan Slab. And I think probably Hammer is the best route I've ever led. I know it's only hard VS, nothing by today's standards. For me, it was quite an achievement.
I promised I would tell you the rest of the story of Deirdre of the Sorrows. After many years of contented living here in Glenetive, Deirdre and her lover Nisha heard that a war galley had arrived in Kinlochetive. And the war galley had brought a message from Cameron McNeish, the High King of Ulster, that the forces of Ulster had gone to war with Connaught. And the High King said he would forgive Deirdre and Nisha for running away together if they would come back and take the rightful place as Knights of the Red Branch. Being trained warriors, the guys, as you can imagine, were really for it. But Deirdre knew that it would have tragic consequences. And as she sailed down Loch Etive, Deirdre wrote a long poem. And it's been known as the Lay of Deirdre, and it's full of the sadness of leaving a homeland that you love very much. When they got back, Cameron McNeish set eyes on Deirdre and immediately fell into a rage, and he ordered the Sons of Wishna to be killed. And when they were buried, they were placed in a pit, standing upright in their full military regalia, holding their spear beside them. When Deirdre saw her beloved in his grave, she cast herself in beside him, and her heart was pierced by the spear of her lover Nisha. But years later, in fact many hundreds of years later, that poem, bleu of Deirdre, was recalled by the people who were being cleared from the Highlands, the people who, like Deirdre, were leaving behind a homeland that they loved and cherished for what was in most cases a very uncertain future.
This hill climbs from sea level at the head of Loch Etive all the way to its 1,070 metre summit. And the saving grace of the mountain is the fact that it is so steep and ongoing, and that's what makes you stop every so often, get your breath and just enjoy the fantastic views. I mean, wow, look at that.
Isn't it typical? We just get to the summit and the cloud comes down. After climbing the hill all day and lovely visibility, and now we can hardly see anything. But we can just make out the silver slit of Loch Etive as it makes its way down to the sea. And if you use your imagination, you can almost visualise the war galleys of the Sons of Uisnech, sails unfurled, just heading down the loch there into the sun. You know, Naoise and Deirdre and the Sons of Uisnech loved this place. And you know what? I can well understand why.
Kevin Shields must be one of Scotland's most inspirational climbers. In spite of being born with part of one hand missing, he's tackling ascents which most of us could never contemplate. He specialises in bold, exposed routes like this one in Glen Nevis. If he were to fall now, hitting the ground would be inevitable. Today, Duncan McCallum's joined him on the crags to discover just how exceptional his climbing is and what motivates him.
I mean, the rewards are standing at the top of a new route or climbing a route on the Ben on a great day in winter is just some of the best feelings, and there's no way that you could put it into words to describe what climbing probably really gives you. I really enjoy the movement. I enjoy being out in an environment like this, the challenge it all, but definitely the risk factor is a huge motivation.
I'm amazed that he's climbing this, I really am. I mean, there's lots of people doing bold routes, but given what he's got to work with, it's an extraordinary thing to even want to start doing.
With the climbing, it's been such a great coping mechanism, I think, for coping with my disability, because I can see what's been possible, regardless of, like, since I was a kid, being told what I was never be capable of doing, or you can't do this, you can't do that. I've been told for years and years that you can't do anything, basically, and then you discover something like climbing, and there's no actual limits there. The only limits is what you put in yourself, so you can go out there and just keep pushing and pushing and pushing and just try to find these new things. It's just fantastic. I would never feel challenged. I'd never feel as if I'd really achieved anything if I was only climbing routes that were way below what I felt was capable of. I mean, there's no way I want to be sitting years and years from now thinking, I wish I had done this, I wish I had done that. I'd never ever want to have that regret in my life, no way. And that's one of the worst things that I could ever think of.
Go on.
Sometimes I get quite positive remarks about my climbing and stuff like that, but there's also that slightly negative side sometimes as well, and then you get people nudging their mates and pointing. You still get all this kind of thing, I think, but the reaction to be honest, it doesn't really bother me. It's more whether I've managed to do it, I'm happy with myself, not whether I impress somebody else or anything like that. It just doesn't matter on the slightest. Right, climbing again, Dougie?
Yeah.
Once I actually find a route that suits and it's near my limits and I feel happy that that's what I want to try, actually get it done. And then there's this feeling of having done something that you really, really wanted to do. You've survived it. It's magic, and then within an hour you're thinking, all right, what's next? What can I go and try now?
Nicely done again, good.
That's me, right, safe mate. Cheers, man.
Shouldn't give me any trouble following. I mean, I think there's a couple of moves in it that look pretty awkward. And obviously you walk up to it and you don't get much of a warm-up. But the real issue is the lack of gear. The moves themselves don't look too hard. That remains to be seen because I haven't done it yet. But it's very, very, very bold.
Right, climb when you're ready, mate.
Of course, there's one thing I haven't asked, and that's how he can belay properly with one hand. That runner is complete garbage. I mean, it's... I wouldn't even be able to hang a shirt on that. And now the hard move, and there is nothing else. I saw him stick his stump in there, just in this point. Well, I think I've just witnessed something very extraordinary. Okay, now, enough talking. Not sure which hand to go with for. That's good though. Without gear, man. Whoa. Amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Well, I don't care what anybody says, I think that's pretty cool. No, anybody who criticises you for climbing actually probably doesn't understand climbing to start with, and actually doesn't understand you. That is really, really a privilege. Fantastic. Quite a good route as well.
Welcome back to the Corrieyairack Challenge. I'm here at Garva Bridge waiting for the first of the elite teams to arrive, and this is where the race can be won or lost. It's a bit like a Formula 1 pit stop. Runners grab a bite to eat and drink before jumping on their bikes and then heading off for the second part of the race.
And right now the fastest runners are on the descent from the top of the Corrieyairack Pass. Yeah! Still in the lead is 30-year-old Matt Williamson from Glasgow. Matt's an experienced hill racer, but hard on his heels, just seconds behind, is a comparative newcomer to this discipline, Terry Christie from Banff.
Coming from a road running background, it was probably a lot harder for me than the other types of Alistair and the Cosmic guys, and some of the, there was a couple of Ochil hill running guys there as well up the front. To me it was a lot harder work, actually, the coming down, focusing on your feet and trying not to trip over and fall on your face, but it was good.
These downhill sections may seem easier on the lungs, but there's a real skill to keeping the pace over this kind of terrain. Alistair Thomas has recovered from his early problems and has now moved into third place.
You have to be prepared to switch off your brain, switch off your mind and let go and really accelerate down the hill. It takes a bit of practice and takes a bit of mental strength. The S-bends down the hill are pretty steep. If you are trying to be competitive though, you've got to stay with the leading pack. So at times you have to maybe run a bit faster than you'd maybe like to.
Not far behind is newcomer Robert Brooks, who is powering through and still in touch with the leaders.
I was looking forward to the downhill because it's fairly rough going. There's lots of drainage ditches and you can see where the water's eroded the path. So it's pretty rocky on the way down. I'm quite into my mountain bike and I was wishing I was on a mountain bike for the descent, but even so it's still good to run down.
Still leading the field for the women is 28-year-old Iona Robertson, a well-known figure on the competition circuit.
I mean, anything that mountain bikers have to actually walk down and things like that and carry their bikes, you think, well, you can actually probably run down that quite quickly. It'd be a case of just keeping hydrated, keeping nice and steady, and then taking the descent sensibly as opposed to trying to just fling yourself down it.
32-year-old Kerry Weatherhog from Perth is next to tackle the S-bends on the descent, and just a few minutes behind at the top of the pass is 42-year-old Katrina Finn from Stirling.
It's great getting up to the top of the pass because you can know all the ascents behind you, and there's good views up there as well. When you can actually lift your eyes from the track, because the track's quite rough in places.
How are you feeling?
Whacked. Oh, wonderful.
when you can actually look around at the scenery, it's good scenery. You can see back down to the Great Glen and further inland as well.
I'll be glad when I get to the summit.
Doing well, you're doing 5 proud.
Yeah, I think there's just one ahead, 2 ahead.
Carry's one been quite tough on the way downhill from the pass as well, because the path is quite bouldery and rough, and so I was being a bit cautious on the way downhill because I'm a little bit anxious about my ankles, so probably be a bit more cautious than some people were on the way downhill.
But this isn't any old mountain pass. Back in the 1720s, Field Marshal George Wade was given the task of civilising the Highlands. So, over the next 10 years, he ordered the building of over 200 miles of new roads, and this one through the Corrieyairack Pass is arguably the most spectacular of those. Ironically, just a few years later, in 1745, Bonnie Prince Charlie used this road to march south in an attempt to win back the British throne.
Look at this style.
I think it's a cracking pass. I was up there just a couple of days ago looking at some of the repair work we're doing, and when you look down and think of when that road was built by hand with horses and carts by men, it's just incredible to stand there and see it as an engineering feat with many, many beautiful bridges, super engineering with the S-bends.
Andrew Mackenzie is the man in charge, but each year he's helped by an army of volunteers to keep things moving and give this event a great reputation amongst racers.
You do whatever job you've been asked to do, whether it be feed them, give them bananas, change the wheels if they're a mountain biker, give them a bit of encouragement before they set off on the road part.
The elite guys want to get through as fast as possible, so just keep out of their way and get them food and drink. The others, later on, will need to find bikes and get their equipment for them quickly. They'll get quite grumpy if we can't find the bike.
And that scrabbling for bikes is about to start as the leading runner approaches Garver Bridge. Matt Williamson's completed the first 17-mile leg in just 2 hours and 10 minutes. Desiree can just keep up with him. Pity about the cameraman.
Hi there, how are you doing?
Oh, not too bad.
How are you feeling?
Not too bad. Just gonna hope my legs don't cramp up.
Oh, you've done really well. How's that running section for you?
Oh, not too bad, not too bad.
You must be feeling exhausted, are you?
Oh, feeling okay so far. It's on the bike when people start catching me, don't I?
Watch the road, guys.
Do you know if you're far out in front of any of the other teams?
I'm not really sure how far I am. I haven't seen anyone for a while. It's not to say they're not right behind me. It's hard to know when there's all the bikes.
Do you think you'll get a good time on your bike as well?
Oh well, we'll always hope. We'll always hope.
Wheels through. 5 each 5.
Just there. You want to change your
5 each 1.
The second person to arrive at the changeover is Terry Christie. He's only 36 seconds behind the leader, Matt Williamson, so now the pressure's on.
Just try to focus on quickly getting into the race shoes, get the gear on and get out there as quick as you can. It's just get on the bike, and it's the legs with the changeover as well, you know, your the legs didn't feel 100% obviously to start with, but once I got a few miles into it, it just seemed to get going again, get a bit of speed in the legs.
And this is rapidly becoming a tight-fought race. Third at the changeover, just 25 seconds after Terry Christie, is Alistair Thomas, who's no time to waste.
Have you done as good a time as you hoped to this morning already?
I haven't actually checked my watch yet. I'll check my watch in just 2 minutes.
It's always tricky coming out of changeover because you've obviously got to get your shoes on, your helmet on, and then you've got to make a decision of do you take any fluid or any food on board, and obviously that all takes time. Terry was just coming out of transition as I was coming in, so I knew he was only a few seconds ahead of me. So it's just a case of helmet on, shoes on, and onto the bike as fast as possible, really.
Good luck with the rest of the race.
Thank you very much. I don't need any of that, thank you. Thank you very much.
Back in the Corrieyairack Pass, and the main body of the runners are now streaming off the hill.
Well done, great, brilliant. And the weather's kind of kind to us as well, so great stuff. But catch you later.
Bye. You'll be famous. I'm not very stylish, but you know, gets there in the end.
Over the camera.
Yay!
How are you doing?
Fine, I think. Now it's downhill. It's great, isn't it? Yeah. Fantastic day.
And back at Garver Bridge, it's all go as the runners pile in for the changeover onto their bikes. There's precision timing here, every second counts.
Were you looking forward to the race or the bike most?
I love the run actually, and the bike's good. Just got to get these first couple of hills over.
Good luck, well done. This next guy coming in looks very hot.
How are you feeling just now?
Not too bad. Bit of a slog on the run.
Was it quite hard work, yeah?
Yeah, it's just hot today. Wow.
And how are you feeling about the next leg of the race? Excited?
Can't wait. Spin the legs. Cheers, guys.
Good luck.
Leave the gloves in the bag.
Yeah, well done, mate.
You enjoying it so far?
Yeah, better run than last year. I went off a bit hard last year, but it's gone better this year.
How are you feeling about the next leg?
Well, we'll see. That's been about an hour and a half.
It seems really hot today. It must be hard to just keep hydrated and keep enough energy on board.
Well, I was counting on getting here to start getting some fluid back in.
Had a bacon roll too early on. At 9:30, sat in my stomach for the whole run. But this will be better. My helmet.
And just 18 minutes after the leading men have arrived, Iona Robertson is the first woman to reach the changeover. Her time, 2 hours and 28 minutes.
Hi there, you're the first female in. How are you feeling?
Yeah, great. What a fantastic run. That was absolutely brilliant. Thank you.
What's so good about it?
It's just the scenery and the challenge of it as well. It's not flat, to say the least. And actually the hardest bit was the road at the end. I would say.
You looking forward to the biking section?
Thanks, Chris. That's brilliant. Yeah, should be good, I think.
Good luck. Keep up the good work.
Get a seat.
For competitors, this is one of the trickiest moments of the whole race. There's not only the change from running to cycling, but it also stops the rhythm they've built up over the preceding miles.
It is quite hard, especially when you're trying to be competitive. It you're worrying about cramping up completely and then just falling off the bike, basically. It's never happened to me, touch wood.
Transition is actually a bit of a blur. I certainly didn't stop for a 3-course meal. Maybe I shoved some food into me, but I just can't remember.
Having done some sort of similar events, I kind of know what I'm going to feel like. It's going to be very heavy on the legs. As long as I don't cramp up, I think it'll be fine. But the last sort of 3 miles of the run's on tarmac, so having just come down off the hill, it's quite tough and quite physically draining as well. So as soon as I get on the bike, just using the different muscles again, it'll keep me going through, I think.
You can see it as you run down the final descent off the road, and you can see all the bikes there. There's a lot of support there, and the system that they have to basically work you through the changeover works very effectively because there's so many marshals. They shout your number and you run over. And I think I had 4 or 5 people helping me.
Yeah, get some salt back in.
And someone gives you a banana and someone combs your hair and somebody pats you on the back and off you go.
By now, the leading men are speeding east, eating up the miles as they race towards the tiny community of Lagan. And it's still Matt Williamson in the lead, but hard in his heels and rapidly closing that 30-second gap is Terry Christie. Currently in 3rd place and looking composed is Alistair Thomas.
So with the competitors spread out across this 43-mile course, I'm going to take a little breather for something which I hope will be pretty tasty, although I think I may have to work for my supper. Today we're at the mountain bike centre at Lagan Wolf Tracks, and sadly, not a lot is happening. Grant, where's all the food? What's happening?
Just waiting for my staff to arrive.
Well, I'm here and I'm eager and I'm willing.
I'm just needing to nip along to Craigmeggy, and we're needing to get some venison for today's cookery.
So I've got to go and get it?
Yeah, indeed. I'm going to just sit here, order another cup of coffee, relax, and you'll be on the clock. As the saying goes, on your bike, sir.
Thanks very much. Enjoy your coffee.
I will do, I will do.
Yes, I'm the butcher's delivery boy. You should really have a basket in front of this bike. So where's this come from? Is this shot on the estate here?
This was shot 4 days ago on the estate, yep. And basically we like to sell it to locals, or some of it gets exported to go through a local game dealer. And any of the locals can come along here and they can buy it at an affordable price.
Well, what's the best way to cook it, would you say? Oh, excuse me a second.
No bother.
That could be our man, Mr. McNicol. Hello, Grant.
Did we manage to get hold of some of that venison?
Yeah, Rory's here. Yeah, what do we actually need?
Well, we're needing a couple of loins.
A couple of loins?
No bother at all, yep.
And obviously venison's quite a lean meat, so at this time of year, you know, there should be a wee bit of fat on it.
Okay, well, a bit of fat on it if you could, yeah. Well,
yep. Should be a nice colour of meat. It should be nice and lean, you know.
You enjoy your coffee, and I'll get the meat and I'll cycle back and see you in about 15 hours.
Where's the venison?
in here.
Take your time, eh?
I'm jiggered.
Well,
enjoy.
Today we're going to cook some beautiful loin of roe deer. We're going to do it with a traditional Scottish classic clap shot, which is turnip, potatoes and onions. We're also going to do it with a beautiful fresh bramble glaze, some red cabbage, brandy, confit for the venison. So it's going to slowly cook with the juniper and brandy butter, and it's going to taste absolutely superb. Start off with the turnip, so I'll just show you this half quickly. We're wanting to obviously just take the skin off the turnip. All right.
Okie dokie.
Get yourself working. Okay. As soon as that's ready, we want to get that into the pot here.
Oops,
So
daisy.
get that cooking.
Just have some turnip
Try
on the
not
floor
to lose
there.
it all on the floor there, do you? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Try and be a bit cost effective. I want this cabbage, I'll show you a wee bit shredded.
Okay.
Okay, nice and fine. Half it, and then just down like that.
Okie dokie.
If you hold your fingers like that and your thumb behind it, you'll be absolutely perfect. Okay?
Right. So, venison, I would imagine, is a dish that you've cooked many times. Where's he going? There you are.
Yeah, very much so. Being a gamekeeper's son again, it's one of these things that I think, you know, one of the first solid foods I ever ate was either venison or pheasant. My dad always made sure that it was the best quality we took home, you know. So now we're going to add in about 250 mils of red wine. Okay, a good whack of red wine. Also, damson jam. So you could use red currant jelly, but again, I'm just trying to use something a wee bit different that complements the beautiful venison we've received today. So that's what we're aiming for.
Right.
Okay, how are you getting all these potatoes now?
Fine, I'm sticking to my knife, but that's
Right, okay, look at that, we've got a rapid boil going on here, so these potatoes are going to go in and just ruin that, but never mind. Oh, dropping them everywhere.
Just put them anywhere, chef.
That'll be enough.
That's enough?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
so
enough.
So me cutting these is a bit of a waste
Well,
of time.
basically what I'm trying to do is get your knife skills up to the level where you could actually, you know, maybe do a dinner party or, you know, chop a potato at home, you know.
Yeah.
So that's what we're aiming for. Obviously, when you're cutting like, things like turnip, potatoes, peppers, tomatoes, it blunts a knife a fair bit, so you have to keep putting an edge onto the knife. As you can see, we've got a beautiful venison there. I mean, there's no marbling through it. Very lean meat. To me, we go on about organic foods and stuff all the time. I feel that venison, wonderful meat, very lean. It's from here, absolutely fantastic. You know, and we should use it more. It's important that you season them up, okay, as it blows everywhere. What we're doing is we're just putting it on the outside. So really, you know, you've still got that much venison that's not seasoned. It's only on the outside, so it'll seal into it when we pan fry. Okay. Let's see where we're at.
Yes, it's such a natural in the kitchen, I find.
Okay, now, Dougie, we're going to get a wee bit of my favourite ingredient. Can you guess what it is?
That'll be the cream then.
No, it's a red one. No, it's cream. Okay, so a wee bit of that.
Now, when you say a wee drop...
I mean a wee drop this time, I generally do. That's absolutely perfect. Or if you could just start mashing that away.
Okay.
Have we just put the carrots in there now and in that boiling water we had left over from the clap shop? That'll cook away nicely there. Because they're so thin, they don't really need to boil or anything. It'll cook in the water. You bring that over to the board now, Dougie. We're just going to cook a couple of bits off here.
That smell. There's something about red cabbage and red wine, and it smells like Christmas. It's weird. It smells like Christmas.
That's starting to seal away nicely. We crushed some juniper berries, put them in, some whole juniper berries. The venison's in there now. It'll only take 8 minutes in there, and it should be good to go.
But if you want to just hold on at that point,
yep.
Our bacon rolls have arrived.
Right, okay. Get the brambles in there.
Bash them down.
Yeah, you just bash them down, nice and rustic again. And then to make the glaze, so it's going to go all sticky, we want another wee bit of the damson. Just grab one of the spoons. I just want you to glaze a wee bit of the bramble sauce over the top of that, okay? Whilst I carve away some more venison so other people can try.
Now, when you say glaze,
I mean glaze.
Well, what does that mean? Where
Well,
do I put
just
on the
you
venison?
just put it over the top of the venison.
A little dribbleette.
A drizzle. No, a bit more than that. You know. If you could just put a few of your carrot ribbons over the top, that will be absolutely lovely. Look at that. Fantastic. Confit of venison over clap shot with red cabbage.
Beautiful plates, don't you think? Happy?
That's gorgeous.
The
venison is so tender.
It's really nice, yeah.
Yeah, that's impressive. I don't know if you'll be able to pull it off yourselves, but give it a try.
Oh, really, it was nothing. You should give it a go. It's dead easy. You can just hire Grant out by the hour.
All right.
For many years, mountain bikes were all the rage, but recently road bikes have been making a comeback, and these are definitely the wheels of choice for the elite competitors at the Corrieyairack Challenge. But what do you need to look out for if you've decided to hand over your hard-earned cash? And just how much do you have to spend? Duncan McCallum's in Aviemore to get the lowdown on 3 different models, starting with the cheapest.
Basically, this is an introductory bike for most people. People who've road biked in the past will probably recognise this style of bike. It weighs between about, say, 22 to 25 pounds, depending on which one you buy.
Yeah, I mean, it feels pretty weighty.
Yes, the big change in the last few years has been the gearing. People who have had road bikes for years will know that gearing used to always be in the down tube.
Yeah.
And this still has it.
And then in terms of comfort, being a rigid steel frame, is that pretty uncomfortable?
The cheaper frames tend to be much, much thicker and they're rigid, so ironically actually that's quite good. But on cheaper bikes the wheels tend not to be so rigid and much heavier.
Okay.
And wheels are a key part of any road bike for speed. A lighter rim and a lighter tyre makes the bike roll quicker. The major price hike from this is about £300 up to £400 or £500, is that the gears then move to the handlebars.
So that's the £300 one.
So this would be the next level up in bikes.
So the first thing I notice here is that one comes with flat pedals and you don't sell this with pedals.
No. Over the past few years most folk have mountain bikes, so they're coming from mountain biking, so they may put mountain bike pedals on.
That would suggest to me that you're now wearing an SPD, which means
yes,
that your
correct.
foot is permanently clipped into the pedal. What riding advantage does that give you then?
The performance advantages are up to 10% depending on how you use the pedals. They clamp your foot to the pedal, and if you use a very stiff shoe, then you're losing very, very little energy through the training shoes. If you watch a very efficient road cyclist, they spin the pedals as opposed to pushing. So you'll see them lifting and their muscles contract when they're pulling as well. So it gives them that advantage, particularly on climbs when they're cycling. What they would do with this price range is you then get a carbon fibre fork. So that's a resin and carbon fork, which makes the bike much lighter at the front and balances the weight a bit, but also a carbon fork has a suspension effect. The other big changes are, the modern things, is that there is no longer a bottom bracket on a road bike above a certain price. It's a solid axle through with bearings, which you can replace very easily. The gearing becomes much more expensive and lighter, and the key change is that the gear shifters then move to the handlebars.
Yeah.
So road bikers will sit with their hands there for most of a race. So they're relatively low, quite stretched, and they can brake and change gear very quickly. So this is our best selling road bike, or any road bike at this price. That's where people consider performance starts to improve.
This is your own special machine, and the first thing I notice is there's no weight in that at all.
No, typically this bike, depending on the wheels, it weighs about 15 to 16 pounds. Once you get to this level, aerodynamics begins to play a huge part in the bike. So if you look at the forks, for example, they actually have an aero shape which allows the wind to travel backwards.
To go around it, yeah.
The wheels have bladed spokes. Everything, where possible, is made of the lightest material. So the gear cassette at the back is made of titanium. The cranks on the chain set, which is the gear set to most people, are actually made of carbon fibre. And the pedals are extremely lightweight aluminium. The gears themselves on this bike are the same ones as used by Lance Armstrong in the Tour de France.
It's an amazing, amazing machine. And I take it now, when you're looking at something of this level, this is custom built for the rider.
Yes. The group set alone on this bike is about £1,700 just for the gears and the brakes.
Okay.
The frame is carbon fibre, but what you'll tend to find is manufacturers will fit slightly cheaper wheels, and by that I mean £400 wheels, because it's likely the buyer will buy their own wheels. And pedals, that's up to personal choice as well. Despite spending £3,000 on a bike, you do not get pedals with it. You then have to go and choose pedals.
Okay, I think we're probably ready to go for a ride.
You ready? Yeah?
Yeah. Oh, you can already feel how punchy that thing is. Get another foot in. If you're kind of doing something like the Corrieyairack and you're doing a decent pace on the road bike, what should that be?
The cyclist's aim generally is to get over 20 miles an hour, but up to 25 depending on how fit you are. And then obviously with descents, etc., particularly in the Corrieyairack, there's a couple of decent descents, you should be hitting towards 45 to 50. The one thing you really need to watch out for are holes in the roads. Something that's a challenge to a mountain bike is a disaster to a road bike.
And when you're climbing, if you're having to get out of the saddle, rather than change down, mistake or not a mistake?
No, the two, one, it's, you'll find a lot of road bikers do it for a short period to give their body a rest. But sitting down is much more efficient.
Changing down's more efficient as well.
Yes. So actually spinning up a hill with a seated position is probably the best because you're within your body's limits.
It's a bit of a punishing warm-up. Explain a good pedalling style then.
Particularly for efficiencies, have your knees very near the frame. You'll notice the frame's cut away around about the knee area, which allows your knees to go in. So that keeps you fairly aero. The other thing is to pedal in circles as opposed to pushing.
Okay, I'll change.
So actually push, pull on each leg. And quite a lot of cyclists practice cycling with one leg, just to get that style right.
Yeah, this is much more comfortable than my bike. This thing's amazing.
Welcome back to the Corrieyairack Challenge, and here at Cairngorms the fastest teams are expected here any minute now. Their ordeal is almost over. For some, there's still a long way to go. So, what does it take to tackle a race like this?
Hard work, I would say. Just putting in the miles. You have to put in the miles, and if you're not doing the training, then you're not going to be strong enough. You know, it doesn't matter how good a bike you've got. It's like having a pair of trainers. If you could have the best pair of trainers in the world, if you don't do the miles in the training, then you're not going to be up with the likes of those guys, you know. But yeah, it's just putting in a lot of time and effort.
Terry Christie works offshore, so he's away weeks at a time. But this isn't necessarily a disadvantage.
It's quite good when I'm at home, like the rota that I'm offshore. I'm like offshore for 2 weeks, and then I'll come home for 3 weeks. So the 2 weeks offshore, we've got quite a good gymnasium and that. A couple of bikes, a couple of good running machines and that, so usually when we finish shift and stuff, there's me and a couple of other guys as well. They do a bit of running, so we're in there and just keeps you going. It keeps you enough to keep you going until you get home again. So, but when we get home again, it's just full on, doing everything as much as you can every day. So, but it's just try to find that medium, you know, the happy medium between not doing too much to get injured and doing enough to keep you sharp. So it's difficult, like.
And as we rejoin the action, Terry's training seems to have paid off. He's pulled ahead into first place and now has a commanding lead.
So we're following the leader, Terry Christie, age 35. We interviewed him at the start of the race. He certainly downplayed his chances, but he's cycling an absolute blinder here. Tucked over the tri-bars. Long support socks to keep his legs nice and warm, and he is absolutely flying along this road, doing it pretty much on the flat, anything between 27 and 30 miles an hour, and he'll need to keep that up. He is a good bit clear, and there's a long uphill section here for Terry, and you can see on the tri-bars that you get less control for steering, but it's a much more aerodynamic position for riding. You see passing the mountain bike and the difference in position. The chest and all your arms in the mountain bike and catching the full face of the wind, very much slower, very less easy to cycle quickly and smoothly. Just eating some more food, keep fueled up for the last section of the race.
This is a race of two very different disciplines, and many competitors have mixed feelings about the running and biking.
I'm not built for running, too heavy for running, but especially uphill. Very looking forward to it, the bike especially. It's 27 miles. Hopefully get back in before 4 o'clock this afternoon would be nice. Straight to the pub.
We're not particularly confident on the bike, but we're hoping to enjoy it because it's a nice road. We drove the road last night just to have a look-see to decide what it was like and how we're going to get on, and we'll just tootle along and have a nice time, I think. Come on!
I would say I'm definitely a stronger runner than I am a biker, but I think the combined event is probably my strength as opposed to one or the other individually. And on the run, I definitely definitely take a good half an hour to get into my running before I really relax and kind of start to run efficiently, I would say. Yeah.
Normally a run would start, a normal hill run, it would be a case of working out what the biggest hill is, saving something for that, and then give it your all on the way down. But with this one, it was different in that I knew I was going to have to get onto a bike, and getting onto a bike after running, you feel like you can't ride a bike. So it's saving something for that.
And as the bikers come through Cairngorms and head on towards Kincraig, Terry Christie is still in the lead. Alistair Thomas is now in second, with Matt Williamson hanging on to third. But storming through the field behind them is Robert Brooks. He's clearly happy in the saddle.
Stronger discipline for me would be the biking. I've come from a biking background more than anything else, from mountain biking really, and then over recent years some of the road biking. So I quite enjoy the biking side of things, and I was thinking after the run, if I can just hold back on the run, I could probably make up some ground on the bike. The first thing I needed to do was just to get some fuel in. But you've got time sitting on a bike. Running's quite hard to actually to fuel yourself because you're moving so much. But on the bike, you've got your water bottles and you've got pockets at your back, so you can, and you're sitting down, so you can get into a kind of steady cycle and fuel yourself up, and then work out how much energy you've got, and then start picking people off.
Happy days!
I think one of the guys that was in front, I passed him and he was lying at the side of the road, holding on to his calf muscles and his thighs, so clearly the cramp had got to him. But you've lost so much salt from the sweating on a hot day that's the real fear when you start putting more effort in on the bike.
And back at the changeover at Garver Bridge, there's little sign of the pace letting up.
2 hours 45. I'm just getting back into hill running, so I'm chuffed. But,
oh, well done.
But the cycling will take me as long. So
have you been enjoying the race so far?
Loving it. Beautiful route.
That was brutal. You see them coming down, they're just phenomenal. They're really good.
You're still doing a really great time. Are you hoping to make up some time on the bike?
Possibly. See how my legs do, but I'll be just glad to see the marquee at the end. It'll be brilliant.
Hi there, how are you feeling?
Great. Thirsty.
Must be really tough in this heat, is it?
Yeah, just on the road section. Right, I'm gonna go.
Okay.
Further ahead, sweeping past Ruthven Barracks outside Cairngorms, Iona Robertson is still leading for the women. Iona's an all-rounder, as happy on the bike as on the run.
After a 17-mile hill run, your legs are going to be completely shot and they're going to be used to plodding along basically, and then getting onto a bike and then getting down into a more sort of aero position. Your lungs are being more compressed and things like that. So it's just basically the transition between two modalities of sport. So it just takes a while to get your legs basically on each discipline.
Katrina Finn is having a great race. She was in 4th place at the changeover. Now she's in 2nd.
I'm relatively a stronger cyclist than I am a runner, so I was really looking forward to getting on my bike. And the bike in the Corrieyairack's great. It's not too hilly. There's a few ups and downs, but on the whole, it's just a really nice cycle. And I think after having done a run like that, when you get on your bike, you feel like you're absolutely flying. You feel like you're going really quite fast. So I was just loving it.
6 miles further is the finish at Kincraig, and coming to claim first place is Terry Christie with a time of 3 hours 24 minutes.
Terry, that was pretty impressive. We were watching you coming along on the road. Hopefully we weren't in your way too much.
No, you're alright, it's alright. I was trying to have some company. So no, I run out of drinks at 16 mile, so I just stopped. There was a guy with a big jug of water, so that came as a bit of a relief.
So how was the run? Were you well ahead in the run, or where did you? Second in the run.
It was maybe about a minute to get behind the guy Williamson from Glasgow. So it was good. It was good.
Were you worried when you started the road race section that he was quite close to you because you were looking behind all the time?
I was a bit sceptical if he's going to creep up behind you, especially at the last few miles. But that was really good. Enjoyed it. Good organisation, that good marshalling. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah, you look pretty fresh.
Well, I can tell you I'm there.
Just 2 minutes behind Terry is Alistair Thomas with a well-deserved 2nd place.
I lost a bit of time going up the hill, I have to say. I didn't enjoy the hill. Yeah. So and I definitely picked up time on the way back down the other side. Yeah. But and then I didn't lose any ground on the bike. In fact, I overtook somebody on the bike. So yeah, I was gaining. I think I was probably gaining on him.
if it had been a wee bit longer, because 27 miles isn't a huge distance
Not a
for the
huge
road
distance,
bike.
yeah.
It was close,
It
eh?
was close, it was close.
For 42 miles.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, congratulations, well done.
Thank you very much, thank you.
Less than 2 minutes later, coming in third is Robert Brooks. A fantastic cycle for him as he started this leg in 6th place.
It was a hot run, but I'm no good on the road. And that road run out after the hill was pretty tough going.
Yeah, everybody was dreading that, coming, you know, after you charge down the off-piste bit of the run and then straight onto the tarmac. Everybody was saying really difficult.
It is, it just hits your legs hard. But when you see the tent in the distance, it's all right there. But good ride, enjoyed it. And then just managed to pip a guy at the end into third. You can always find something. And I didn't know, how far the next guy was in front, so you're pushing it right to the end. And then as soon as you see the line, you can see the guys that finished and then work out you didn't catch them.
I'm a really competitive person, I have to admit. I get a huge buzz out of the competition. I often get asked, why don't I just go out for a run, a 20-mile run? And I find that very, not dull, but the competitive side of it is what kind of drives me on.
I honestly didn't know if I'd won. I didn't know. I knew when I passed the guy Williamson, I thought he was in first place after the run, so when I passed him on the bike, I wasn't sure if maybe there was someone else, so it wasn't until I finished, actually came off the bike, that the guy says, "Oh, congratulations, you've won that." I thought, oh, that's okay.
And in the women's race, after an incredibly hard-fought struggle, Katrina Finn has just managed to grab first place with a time of 3 hours 55. And nobody's more surprised than her.
I was first! I need to go and hug somebody.
And just 30 seconds behind, having led for virtually the whole race, Iona Robertson comes in second.
Katrina, first woman in.
Thanks.
That's a pretty good performance.
Thanks. I don't know what I'm more surprised at, coming in first or being interviewed at the finish line.
You're being chased down by Iona for the last few kilometres.
Yes,
Are you aware of her being there?
Well, yes, I only passed her maybe about 5 miles from the finish, and then we had a bit of a cat and mouse thing going on. And so I was aware she probably was just right behind me. Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Iona, you were pretty close to Katrina on the last part of the race. What was happening there?
Oh wow, such respect. She just came flying past me on the bike, and total respect for her. I tried to stay with her and discovered within about half a mile I started not being able to see, so I thought, well, no, I can't stay with her. So I'm so pleased for her. Gutted for myself, but I'm really pleased with the time as well. I mean, I wasn't expecting to get under 4 hours, so it's just a fantastic race, and I'll hopefully be back next year. It's just absolutely brilliant.
And so with confirmation of those results for the women, Iona Robertson crossed the line in second with a time of 3 hours 56 minutes and 15 seconds. Katrina Finn just beat her with a time of 3 hours 55 minutes and 45 seconds to claim first place. Less than 4 minutes separated the top three men. Robert Brooks was third in 3 hours 28 minutes and 5 seconds. Alistair Thomas came in second with 3 hours 26:28, and Terry Christie was the winner in a time of 3 hours 24 minutes and 25 seconds.
Well, that's it for this month's adventure show. Next month we're heading to the northeast, to Fraserburgh to be exact, for some kite surfing and a round of the British Championships. I can tell you it's ultra spectacular, so please join us for that if you can. In the meantime, thanks for your company. Bye for now.